is an exclusive presentation of high school sports on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. This is the High School Coaches Show. Here's your host, Justin Kenny.
Welcome in, everyone, to the High School Coaches Show on a very snowy evening here at Federated Media Multiplex here on the south side of Fort Wayne. It's coming down in buckets. They usually say that, John, about rain, but I think it's fair to say it looks like buckets out there with snowflakes.
Yeah, I would say so. You know, did you know I actually spent the night, Saturday night?
Here?
Yeah, here.
Really?
Yes, in our fabulous multiplex.
Was it comfortable? I mean, was it more comfortable than you thought it would be, or was it?
Yeah, it was definitely more comfortable than I thought it would be.
You thought it would be? Okay. So was it like on the floor? What was the setup?
I set up in the conference room, where Sir Brent Rump sometimes stays if there's bad weather, and because I did the Mastodon game,
Saturday night,
and then I had another show on our sister station.
Okay, so you were here late. Okay, so you had one early in the morning.
Yeah.
And it was crappy weather.
Yes.
So
that's to say the least.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so probably smarter. Hopefully you're not staying the night here tonight, but it's coming on pretty good. We have a fair amount. It's a weird week this week because of girls sectionals. The boys' schedule is very Thursday heavy, Saturday afternoon heavy. A fair amount of boys' games getting canceled or postponed this evening. But we're going to talk to Brice Vancem here in just a second about all that. We'll talk girls sectional basketball as well. Akijah Sims of the Snider Panthers will join us a little later in the show. Of course, former Snider Panther herself, now the head coach of the Panthers, still alive, heading into the semifinals of the sectionals tomorrow night. We'll talk to Coach Sims. Also, hopefully get to talk to Jonathan Fueling of the Belmont Squaws. His team 16-5. A very good season for Belmont. So we're going to talk to hopefully Coach Fueling as well. But we're going to start it off as we do each and every week with our pal, the award-winning journalist, Mr. Brice Vancem.
Hello, Justin.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Is it a snow globe up where you are this evening?
I haven't even left my house today, but yes, it is a snow globe where I am sitting and looking out the window right now.
It's pretty wild. It was supposed to rain, turn into snow, but we just skipped over the rain part. And it was pretty wild out, especially rush hour time in Fort Wayne for sure. But, Brice, it's one of those weeks. We got a lot going on. We got girls basketball sectionals throughout the week. We have a lot of boys action to talk about, not as much as we thought we would because a fair amount of games getting postponed for this evening. But let's start with sectional play on the girls' side. Anything through the early part of the week maybe catch you unawares or off guard, or has it been pretty expected thus far?
I believe it's been pretty expected so far. I think the result that was probably maybe most in doubt and could go either way was the Angola-Concordia game, and with Angola taking care of that game late. And the next day, Concordia coach Dave Miller retires. That was a little surprising. I'm assuming that he was just going to hang it up whenever the season did come to a close, whether it was last night or later on in the season. But other than that, it was pretty standard. Lakeland, they had a huge comeback against Central Noble up at Wawasee in the first game on Tuesday night. And I think that was a huge statement by the Lakers that even though they lost their second best player in Faith Real, that they weren't going to have their season end prematurely than they wanted to, because they have a lot of seniors on that team, and they definitely proved that they want to continue their careers and extend them at least one game further.
You mentioned that Lakeland game. That was a game that Lakeland outscored Central Noble 25-7 in the fourth quarter. Bailey Hartsaw with 14 of 17 free throws, game high 28 for the Lakers. They will advance to play West Noble tomorrow in another game that can raise some eyebrows in the first semifinal out at Wawasee. What do we expect there?
Yeah, this game, the first time around during the regular season was a very interesting game. These two teams were coming in with just a few losses on their record, and I actually went back and looked through the box score of that game before we started chatting here, and the big difference in that game the first time around was the turnovers that West Noble forced and the rebounding advantage that they had. They forced 17 turnovers by Lakeland and out-rebounded them, I believe, 31-17, 31-19, something of that margin. So even though West Noble doesn't have, some overpowering size, they do have a couple of girls inside, Michelle Ferris and Jasmine Smith, that are definitely capable and athletic enough to pull down quite a few rebounds and be athletic enough on the defensive end to force some turnovers. And with Lakeland not really having any size at all besides Bailey Hart, so that could be a huge advantage for West Noble going into tomorrow's matchup at Wawasee. And I would definitely give the edge, I believe, to West Noble, just the way that they play down the stretch, specifically defensively. They have just been hounding teams all season. They kind of run a little trap defense that starts at half court, kind of a 1-2-2 full court, shrunken down into the half court, and then they kind of sit back into a little bit of a zone that forces a lot of problems. And if Lakeland isn't hitting outside shots like they were the other night against Central Noble, it could be trouble for them.
Brice, a game that is intriguing to me, and I think a good 2 days this will be, is Friday, Saturday at Eastside, because you have Eastside and Adams Central meeting in the second game tomorrow night. Of course, that was the kickoff to the season for those teams, and Eastside lost that game 33-25. These are both double-digit win teams. And at the top of the bracket, you have a Bluffton team that also got beat by Adams Central. So when we look at this one, particularly with Eastside, do we feel after that 33-25 loss to start the season in early November, Mike Lordy's team gets a second shot at the Flying Jets tomorrow night?
Yeah, I really like their chances, and I think we talked about the Blazers last week on the coach show here, that I really like the way that the Blazers are trending that towards the latter part of the season, really competing well against the top tier teams of the NECC. The West Nobles, the Central Nobles, in Angola, they gave them a battle the second time around in the conference tournament. And I just feel like that they're not just going to shy away where maybe they were in the regular season from the competition that may be at their same level or a little bit better than them. They're actually playing with them for the entire game and giving these teams that are really good a chance to give themselves a chance at the win at the end of the games. And I believe if they do that once again against Adams Central this time around, it could be an 8-point win instead of an 8-point loss like it was in the season opener.
Another really big game coming up tomorrow night. It'll be the second game at Garrett. It's round 3 between the Railroaders and Angola. The first round went one way. The second round went another way in the league tournament. So now it's a third time around with these two teams. How do we feel going into this one? Because they know each other pretty well.
Yeah, I believe with the Angola, similar to Eastside, they're playing so well right now, and to beat Concordia the way that they did the other night, I think that as long as they can get Hannah Knoll going, then I think it could be trouble for Garrett. Even though Garrett is just so deep and so they can beat you in so many different ways with inside with Taylor Gerke or Morgan Ostrowski, or beat you outside with Faith Owen and Bailey Kellum, who's also a really good driver. And then they have Natalie Armstrong as their point guard and probably one of their best defenders on the team. But for Angola, it's going to need a combination of Hannah Knoll and Lauren Leach. Lauren Leach kind of has shown up sometimes in some of these bigger games and is really kind of just, you're wondering where she's at on the court, or if you lose track of her, whether she gets shut down by an opposing big. She needs to come out and have a really good game to give Angola a shot against the Railroaders, and if she does, then it could be a really fun and back and forth type ball game.
We were talking to Angola, and I don't think it was intentional shade thrown, but Angola ending the season of the Concordia Cadets, as you mentioned, and ending the career of Dave Miller, who won over 475 career games. And when the story was posted online, Angola likes it. Angola girls basketball account likes it. I'm not saying it was intentional. It was just kind of, a coincidence that got a little bit of a chuckle out of me, at least, because I like that shade throw. You know me, Brice. We like a little.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was.
No, it wasn't intentional. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, they were just maybe showing appreciation. I mean, because they've gone back and forth. Angola and Concordia has even when Appleton started.
Yeah. And
now under Coach Burlingame, these two teams have either been in the sectional finals or faced up with each other and somewhere in the sectional multiple times, and they've had some really good battles. And maybe it was just a like of, oh man, we appreciate going back and forth with you, even though they could have replied to that tweet and said, we had some good battles instead of, hey, we like the tweet that says you're retiring.
Well, you mentioned it too, because these teams go back. I mean, they have history all the way throughout this decade, really almost meeting nearly yearly in the sectional, early or late. And it was last year that Angola got that win. Or 2 years ago, I think it was. 2 years ago,
yeah.
Got that win over Concordia to win the sectional championship. Concordia clipped them again last year. But it's quite the rivalry. And that was really, for Brandon Appleton, when he was coaching the girls team, that was kind of the target, the barometer, is we're not there yet until we beat Concordia in the postseason. And sure enough, in 2019, they did it. So definitely some respect there.
Yeah, I think so, and that's what you're starting to see. Not only, and I think Coach Burlingame has continued that on, and they're trying to not only shoot for the likes of Concordia, but now they're starting to shoot even higher with, picking up Homestead on the schedule this year and picking up Carroll. I mean, they weren't originally on the schedule, but when they had open dates because of COVID restrictions and stuff like that this season, they went after those teams that, are maybe a little bit better than them, but they wanted to challenge themselves. And that's what Angola has really been under Appleton and now under Burlingame.
One other sectional I wanted to touch on before we switch over to the boys' side of things at Fairfield. And, Bremen looks like a solid team, but, could we potentially have a Prairie Heights Fairfield matchup? Because I feel like Prairie Heights feels like they have something to prove after being held to what? It was like 12 points in that December loss to Fairfield. Could we get a rematch between those two?
I think we can, but I was up there the other night and covering Prairie Heights, just demolishing South Bend Career Academy, and then I saw Bremen take on Westview, and Bremen's a really solid team. Katie Moyer had 29 points over Westview, and if Fairfield doesn't have anybody inside to slow her down, then they're in real trouble. I think Prairie Heights does if it is Bremen against Prairie Heights in the championship, because Prairie Heights has Kennedy Kugler and Traven Terry, both girls either at 6 foot or above. But Katie Moore was really dominant inside there, and she was even going out in transition, taking the ball at the floor sometimes and driving in for layups. So she's definitely a real threat for Bremen. And if Bria Garber and Bailey Willard don't have good games for Fairfield tomorrow night, it could be real trouble for the Falcons.
He is Brice Vancem, award-winning journalist at KPC Media Group, joining us here as he does each and every week on the High School Coaches Show. Brice, let's transition over to the NECC boys side of things. And can we put a cap on the season, at least in the conference, with Westview? 9-0. They needed overtime to beat West Noble, needed double overtime. Got it done. They have Heights and Fremont left. I feel on paper those aren't big challenges, but are we getting ahead of ourselves?
I don't think we're getting too far ahead of ourselves. I think they can beat Prairie Heights pretty easily. If Fremont, I think that they have the pieces. I think they're just a year away from being a contender or a challenger to taking down some of the top teams in the NECC. But with the way that Westview is kind of playing against teams right now and letting teams hang around and make it interesting, and the game against West Noble last night was back and forth, and And if you're going to allow teams to hang around, you're going to give them life. And that's all this Fremont team would need, because they took a team like New Haven, right, to maybe similar teams that like to get up and down, pass the ball around, and shoot it a lot. I would say Fremont has the better of the two chances to beat Westview, because I know a team like Central Noble was just probably watching that game closely last night. And even though West Noble is a rival, they were probably cheering on the Chargers harder than anybody watching that stream, just hoping that Westview would get a number one in the loss column, just so they would have a chance at a conference title. But more than likely, I would say Westview has a good chance of wrapping up the conference schedule undefeated.
While Westview may be atop the conference, I think you could argue that the best team in the league right now is Central Noble, winners of 14 straight, and won the NECC tournament. They knocked off Busco for the second time by double digits last week. This team's playing some good ball at 16-1, as good of a season as John Bodie and this group had last year. Maybe you'll be able to tell us the last time they won 14 straight. It sure as heck wasn't last year. So this group got clipped last year in the sectional championship game by Cherubusco. They've already beaten Busco twice. I wouldn't say a third one's in the bag, because you also throw Westview and Eastside into that competitive Westview sectional. But man, we saw them at the NECC tournament, and they've just continued it from there. Really, really manhandling opponents.
Yeah, and their last two wins, I think, say everything that needs to be said about this team. And in the second win over Busco, Central Noble didn't play its best game, and they still handled them, and were up by 20 in the second half, and they went on to beat Busco by 13 points. But by no means was Central Noble playing its best game. And in the game against Bethany Christian this past Monday, they were letting the Bruins hang around for a while, and then they just pulled away in the second half, and Connie Season finishes with I believe 35 points in the win. And that's just kind of how Central Noble can play. They can not have their best games or not play well for a half and still beat you by double-digit points. And that can be really scary if you think about it, and what this team has the potential to do later on this season. And I think if they went out and they finished the regular season 23-1, I think that's the most wins in a regular season for a Central Noble team. I think when they were not consolidated yet, and when they were still Albion and Wolf Lake, I think one of those two teams had a 23-win season. So it would be a program tying record. But this team is very scary. And anybody that's left on their schedule, I would be definitely scared to play them. And in the sectional, I'd be definitely worried as well, because I believe this team is the favorite for the sectional, even though it's still just about a month away.
Brice, let's look at the Northeast 8 on the boys' side really quick. And I want to ask you about East Noble, because they were winless in the league, so people will think they're a pushover, yet they lost by just 2 to Belmont last night. They lost, I think, by 2 to Huntington North last month. Lost a close game to Glenn late in December that went in overtime, I believe. They clipped Westview, which was a big win for you. So we'll get to the whole conference in a minute, but I think East Noble, you look at them and maybe gloss over them because you see the 0-5 conference record. But man, they are so close to being, 2-3, 3-2 in this league.
Yeah, I think they are, and I think they're a solid team. But covering their game last night against Belmont, and they were right there at the very end, had their chance to win, and Tyler James for Belmont hit the floater with 3 seconds left to win the game. But this East Noble team is very young. They have one senior, Braden Ball, who's currently out right now. He's expected to come back this Saturday when they take on South Bend, Washington. But this team has the pieces, I think, to be good next year and maybe the year beyond that, when some of these sophomores and even freshmen that are playing out there right now. This team is just young, and it's going to take them a year or two. Some of these guys are being thrown into the fire when they weren't expected to play varsity basketball this year, or a whole lot of it. Keegan Foster, the starting point guard, wasn't expected to be the starting point guard. It was supposed to be Spencer Denton, who is going to miss this entire season with an ACL tear. Rowan Zolman, the star on the football team, was was supposed to be on the team as well, and he ended up leaving the team before they played their first game. So those are two athletic guys, two guys that could have played very well for this East Noble team that they don't have on the roster. And so a lot of younger guys are being stepped up and forced into roles that maybe they weren't ready for, and maybe still aren't ready for right now.
You know, another team, as we stick with the Northeast 8 here with Brice Vance, is Belmont. We saw them go on the road last week and challenge Leo, eventually dropping a 47-43 decision. They go to East Noble last night, as you mentioned, that game getting a 38-36 win. But Belmont this year has played 14 games. They're 9-5 under Coach Fueling. 10 of those games have been decided by 5 points or less. That's astounding to me, and it really shows, I think, how competitive this league is top to bottom. We crown Leo, but even Leo has had to play some tough ball down the stretch to hold off some league foes. So top to bottom, I feel this league, while maybe not a premier team, I don't even know if Leo's a premier team. I mean, locally they are, but can they make a deep run? That's tough. But everybody else is within 4 points of their average margin. Either they're plus or minus 4 points. That shows how competitive they are. And I feel like this is a league where every night, you know, you can be caught off guard. It's cliche when people say it. It's not always true, but I feel like in the Northeast 8 this year, it's absolutely accurate.
Yeah, I think so. I think you have a team that is the top team, maybe not an elite team, like you said, and then you just have a group of teams in the middle that are very solid, probably going to finish, around 500 overall in their season records, but could finish with just one or two wins in conference, just because the rest of that conference is going to beat up on each other and clip somebody maybe when you didn't expect to beat somebody. Like East Noble could have very well beaten Huntington North and Belmont. If last-second shots don't go the opposing team's way, then East Noble could be right in the middle of that race instead of at the bottom. And it's same for DeKalb. DeKalb has been battling with some of these teams in the conference, and they have a lot of talent. They have, Cole Richmond and Connor Penrod are two very talented players, and can make things difficult for opposing teams. So there's teams that are just hanging around in the middle of the conference, and it feels like if you look at just their conference records, you think, well, they're not that good. But if you take a look at who they've beaten outside of the conference, then you might think differently of how well these teams have competed against each other and outside of the conference.
All right, Brice, what is on tap this weekend for Mr. Vance?
Tomorrow I'm scheduled right now to be at Garrett, and the weekend for Saturday, I don't know yet. It all depends on who wins on Friday night.
I hear you. All right, bud. Hey, appreciate the time. Thanks a lot, as always, and we'll catch you next week.
All right, thanks, Justin.
That was Brice Vance, the award-winning journalist from KPC Media Group, joining us as he does each and every Thursday to kick off the show. We're going to take a break, come back. We're efforting Jonathan Fueling of Belmont boys. If not, we'll just wing it, John. That's what we do here. Akijah Sims from the Snider Panthers girls basketball team will join us around 6:45. So we'll talk some basketball when we come back. We know that. We established that. We'll see if we can get a coach. If not, John and I will figure out something. So we're going to take a break. You're listening to the High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Listen for Fort Wayne sports talk from the guys who know it best. Kent Horman and Brett Rump, back-to-back weekdays. They've been covering the Summit City and all the great athletes and teams that have come and gone like no one else. And now you get their insights daily. Listen weekdays at 2 for Sports Wise. And stick around at 4 for the Sports Rush. Brett Rump and now Kent Horman, only on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Download the 1380 app. Enable your smart speaker to listen or go to 1380thefan.com.
With so many roofing companies in the area, it's tough to be sure you're partnering with the right business to get the job done. Alliance Exteriors is here to make that decision easier for you. Alliance Exteriors specializes in metal roofing, shingle roofing, and more. They promise to take care of you for life. From the time a team member arrives at your door to years after your job is completed with a lifetime warranty. Did you know booking your roofing project with Alliance Exteriors in winter will save you thousands and guarantees that your home will be at the front of the line mind come springtime. Call Alliance Exteriors today, 908-5465. Check out their Facebook or visit their website at allianceexteriorsIN.com to schedule your free, no-pressure estimate. All estimates come with an exclusive 10-point inspection, a $129 value for free. Book now to save thousands off the last roof you will ever put on your home. Don't forget to ask about their first responder discount. Start the process with Alliance Exteriors, your partners for life.
When was the last time your home's furnace and air conditioning systems were inspected or tuned up? If it's been over a year or you simply don't remember, you need to get on the phone to Jen at Premier Mechanical, your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer at 450-3343. Premier Mechanical owner Scott's reputation for personal attention and exceptional service means they will take care of you and your heating and cooling needs as if your home was their home with their 100% satisfaction guarantee. Call Premier Mechanical, your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, 450-3343.
Hi, this is Annette Benning. I'd like to tell you about a nonprofit human services organization that has been helping everyone in performing arts and entertainment for more than 130 years, the Actors Fund. The fund serves everyone in film, theater, television, music, opera, radio, and dance, with programs to support a life in the arts. The fund offers emergency financial assistance in times of need, including help for those in crisis due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Services include health care and insurance counseling, housing, secondary employment, and training services, and more, all to help foster stability and resiliency for the people who lift us up and brighten our days through their work, especially in times of crisis and anxiety. To learn more, please visit actorsfund.org.
Now back to the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everyone, to the High School Coaches Show. I'm Justin Kenny here with John Graham till 7 o'clock. Talking area high school basketball on a snowy Thursday evening, the first week of February. A fair amount of basketball games were canceled for this evening due to the weather. One that's will be played is tonight at about a 7:30-ish tip-off, and it'll be Brett Rump right from Blackhawk. I know it's out Southside tonight, so out at the Southside, it will be the Blackhawk Christian Braves. Southside Archers, of course, the Blackhawk Christian Braves. Enter tonight's game 14-1, lone loss, a 72-60 setback at Homestead last month. Southside 5-8 on the year, coming off a 72-66 loss to Michigan City at home last Saturday. It's been an up and down season for J.J. Foster's group. Got off to they were 3-3 on December 29th. Lost the game to Mishawaka by 1 point. Then they had to play at Homestead at Marion. They were competitive with Marion, almost knocked them off before falling late to the Giants. Since then, league wins over Concordia and Bishop Dwenger, and gave Carroll a game, January 22nd, a 9-point defeat. So another one of those teams that we talked that were right there. They lose by 6 to Northside. They lost in overtime to Cherubusco. Fell to Leo to kick off the season by 10. So don't look past the Archers. But I continue to say it until I'm proven wrong. Blackhawk Christian and Homestead are on another level than anybody else in the area. It's not even close. I know a lot of people are talking about 1 and 2. I'm wondering who the third best team here. I mean, is it Carroll? I think Carroll has a shot to prove that they're up there. We still have Carroll and Homestead that will decide the SAC coming up later this month. In fact, I think it's February 19th will be the game. Homestead and Carroll 6-0 atop the league. In the SAC, a combined 30-2, both of those losses by Carroll. And then the next closest team is Snider at 4-3. So it's clearly a two-horse race in the SAC. Snider 4-3. You have Northside, Southside at 3-3. Bishop Dwenger 3-4. Northrop 2-3. Concordia 2-4. Wayne 1-5. Bishop Lures 0-5. Real quick, let's go over the sectional schedule coming up over the next couple days. If you're a girls basketball fan, want to check out some action, here it is. We'll start in Class 1A, Sectional 51 at Fremont. It will be Bethany Christian and Fremont in the first game tomorrow, Hamilton and Blackhawk Christian. In the second game, Blackhawk Christian, a school record 17 wins this season. They look like the favorite there to win a sectional title. At Fairfield, it'll be Southern Wells, North Miami. First game tomorrow, Lakeland Christian and Northfield. The second game, the Fairfield sectional. We talked a little bit about that with Brice Vancem to open the show. It would be LaVille and Prairie Heights, followed by Fairfield and Bremen in sectional 36. In Class 2A, Bluffton and Cherubusco at 6 o'clock. Adams Central Eastside at 7:30 tomorrow evening. And then, of course, the championship games all coming up on Saturday night. Class 3A at Wawasee, West Noble, Lakeland. A couple NECC teams meeting there. Tippecanoe Valley and Northwood in the second semifinal tomorrow. Woodland, Garrett, 6 o'clock tomorrow at Garrett in sectional 21. Bishop DeWanger and Angola to follow. At Norwell, it'll be Eastern Greentown against Belmont to kick off that doubleheader tomorrow night in the semis. Heritage and Norwell will follow. Sectional 24 at Newcastle to be Yorktown and Jay County. Jay County, the team that doesn't get a lot of pub around here. They're kind of in that media dead zone, at least for the major metropolitan areas. They're down in Jay County and in Portland. They're 18-3. Very good basketball team. Those final 4 teams left in the Newcastle sectional, 3 of them have 15 or more wins, so it'll be an entertaining couple nights down at Newcastle Fieldhouse. At sectional 4 in Class 4A at Goshen, it'll be Elkhart and Penn, Northridge and Warsaw tomorrow night. Warsaw 17-5, another team kind of in that media dead zone. At DeKalb, sectional 5 tomorrow, Carroll and East Noble at 6 o'clock, Snider and Northrop at 8 o'clock. We'll talk to Akijah Sims, head coach of the Snider Panthers, here in just a little bit. And at Columbia City, in the new pristine-looking gymnasium that is a part of the new pristine-looking Columbia City High School, will be tomorrow night. Columbia City and Homestead, followed by Southside and Huntington North. Got to see the Columbia City gymnasium for the first time on Tuesday night. Beautiful facility. Great job by everybody for that entire school, but particularly the athletic facilities. Remember, if you're going out to a game tomorrow and you're happening to go to the second game, I do believe that everybody in the state of Indiana should be following this protocol. You're not allowed to stick around after the first game. The first game crowd is asked to leave, and then it's a 45-minute break between games 1 and 2, and fans are not allowed in until the 15-minute mark for that second game. So during the warm-ups, 15 minutes left before tip, that's when fans for game 2 are being allowed in. So if you're thinking I need to get there at 7:15, 7:30, you'll probably be standing outside for a while. Shoot closer to 8 o'clock tomorrow night, at least for those tips for those second games. Again, as long as the host schools are following the IHSAA mandated protocol, which they should be, it'll be 45 minutes between games 1 and games 2 tomorrow night. I imagine that to be the case for boys sectional boys sectional week when we get to that. Also, regional championship. You know, we always have back-to-back games in the mornings. Could see that being cleared out, and semi-state as well. So we'll see. Keep an eye on that and pay attention, because that will definitely affect the start times of these games and also whether you're standing in the cold outside or not. So plenty of basketball coming up over the next couple days. A lot to decide on the boys' side. Really anticipating that Homestead-Carroll game coming up in a couple weeks. But, a huge game that overshadows everything coming up on Sunday night. It'll be the Super Bowl. Is it Super Bowl 55? Is that what it is, John?
Super Bowl 55.
Okay, gotcha. Yes. We got it's Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks against Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City Chiefs. I know it's been broken down ad nauseum here on the radio throughout the week, but here's we kill a couple minutes before we go to break. Let's look at this one, John. What do you think is going to transpire? Who are you, maybe more importantly, who are you rooting for going into?
I'm rooting for the Chiefs because I like Patrick Mahomes, and Tom Brady just needs to go away.
Really? You're a Tom Brady hater?
Of course, I live in Indiana.
Oh, come on. I like Tom Brady. Can you admit that he's the greatest quarterback ever? Or will you not do that?
No, I will not
do
that. I will admit that it's the Super Bowl is going to be teacher versus the student.
Yeah, I can see that. This is the thing, though, where you want one of those people that were saying Tom Brady is a product of the Bill Belichick system, and now he steps away and goes to Tampa and takes the Bucs to the Super Bowl, basically making that point, that argument moot, and showing that Tom Brady can go elsewhere and win.
Exactly. Yeah, he doesn't need Bill Belichick, to stand by him to move on to the Super Bowl. I do give Brady credit. Brady credit.
At least give him some love.
Because Tampa Bay, they used to be a what team?
Right. You have to go back to early 2000s when they were a threat to win the Super Bowl. I think it's the last time they got to the Super Bowl. So for him to take that team, and the group he's got around him is very good, particularly his offensive skill players. Leonard Fournette has had a resurgence in his career since he left Jacksonville, went to Tampa, and Ronald Jones is tremendous. Antonio Brown, I guess, gives you some depth there, but I don't think he's the Antonio Brown of old. And Gronk is still going to be respected. He's lost a step, not as dynamic as he used to be, but he's still a guy that's going to burn you if you don't respect it. So now you're rooting for KC. Now, do you expect a KC victory then Sunday night?
I think there's about a 95% chance that Kansas City is going to win.
So you're going to put big money on it, is what you're saying?
Big money.
Big dough, big cash.
Big dough.
Very nice.
Big money.
Yeah, it'll be a fascinating game. I just feel, I think it's going to be too, some people have talked about it, Brett Rump talked about early on the Sports Rush that he feels both teams are going to try to establish the run and all this. They will run the football, but I'm also thinking that both of these quarterbacks are going to air it out. I really feel like both coaches are going to go, this is your game, go do your thing type thing.
Do you have a prediction on the score? The final score?
Well, here's where I'll go. I would like Kansas City to win because I do have some money on KC that I put on months ago to win the Super Bowl, so that would be nice. But man, there's something in me that just wants Tom Brady just to keep winning. To me, it's just basically because it annoys the hell out of people.
Yes,
like you, John.
Yes,
like you.
It annoys me, but there's nothing real. It's really out of my control.
Right? You can't control it.
Tom Brady is just talented. Let's face it, Indiana. Let's face it. He's talented.
Here's with me, and this kind of like with LeBron and other guys. They're in that conversation of being the GOAT or whatever. If you're in the conversation and you're an active player, I'm a fan of just keep winning. Just keep winning because it takes all doubt. So if Tom Brady is the best quarterback we've ever seen, keep piling up those Super Bowls. Just take no doubt out of it. MJ in his prime, I would have loved for him to keep playing because just continue to win titles and prove people wrong. So that to me is my push. It's a game where I really don't have any rooting interest. I'd like to win some money, but I'd also like to see Tom Brady win another Super Bowl. So I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it.
And speaking of money, can you believe that if Brady wins, he walks home with $500,000?
Yeah, he gets a bonus, right?
Which is probably just chump change.
Yeah, it's going to be lost in the sofa, right? And it'll just be, right. Oh crap! That check I forgot I got. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty wild. But should be a lot of fun coming up on Sunday. Chiefs and Tampa Bay. You can hear the game right here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. Super Bowl 55. I remember Super Bowl 50. Felt like it was last year. Now we're at Super Bowl 55. We're moving right along.
5 years ago.
Yeah, and I do believe they'll have some fans in the stands. I do believe there'll be for first responders, medical personnel that they'll have at the Super Bowl. So that's cool. How fitting.
Yeah. It's I think that's very honorable and obviously to everyone out there. I know hopefully God willing that if everyone masks up and gets their shot, we can all go to NFL games.
Yeah, hopefully next fall. But I'm getting my second shot, John, next Tuesday for the vaccine. I already got my first. Getting the second one on Tuesday as a employee Lutheran Health. Was able to get it. They said the first one was fine. Just kind of sore. The arm was kind of sore, like after you get a shot. The second one, it can knock you on your butt for 24, 48 hours potentially. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, I hope to see you here next week.
Yes, sir. I will be here, freshly inoculated and survived the COVID pandemic without getting it. Knock on wood. So, yes. So, all right, we're going to take a break. We got plenty more to come. We're going to talk to Akijah Sims, a Snider girls basketball coach. Her team will play in the semifinals of the sectionals tomorrow night as the Panthers will take on, who are they playing tomorrow? At DeKalb, they play Northrop. 12-7 Snider, 9-11 Northrop. Carroll at the top of that bracket in the semis looks like the clear-cut favorite, but quite the turnaround, quite the year for Snider. Really playing some good basketball into the new year and into the playoffs. We'll talk all about it with former Snider Panther player Akijah Sims, and now head coach of the Snider Panthers. You're listening to the High School Coaches Show right here at 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
If you don't know who to trust, vehicle ownership can be one of the most stressful things in our lives, and that goes well beyond getting the best deal. Evans Toyota offers Fort Wayne's only comprehensive vehicle ownership experience. We have vehicles for everyone, everything from new Toyotas to certified and high-quality pre-owned cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs, all of which come with up to 3 years of prepaid maintenance. But we're so much more than a huge inventory. Evans Insurance Network is located on-site and features more names you can trust like Progressive, Travelers, and Nationwide. When you need a rental, Evans Rentals has upwards of 100 rental vehicles, everything from cars with high fuel economy to 12-passenger vans. Need service? You should know, Evans employs more master-level certified technicians than any other Toyota dealer in Northeast Indiana. Now that's experience you can trust. From our humble beginnings on Brooklyn Avenue, the Evans family has been serving the greater Fort Wayne area since 1955, and you can trust we'll be here when you need us most.
If you're passionate about your business, chances are an off-the-shelf insurance policy isn't for you. But where do you find a broker that will treat your business like the special operation it is? Well, right here in Fort Wayne, actually. Hoopy Insurance Services, now celebrating 40 years of service to the Fort Wayne community. If you love fixing cars and have an auto body shop, they'll craft a policy with the right coverages for you. If you like helping others find their best look and have a beauty shop, same story. No matter what type of business you operate, Matt and the staff at Hoopy Insurance Services have the knowledge and resources to cover your unique circumstances. Trust the local business that's been doing business for 40 years. Call Hoopy Insurance Services today at 486-7488 to discuss your business. That's 486-7488. And of course, they're the choice for life, health, auto, or homeowners insurance as well. Hoopy Insurance Services. Their family serving your family and your family's business now for over 40 years.
It doesn't take a brain surgeon to know ticks suck. But what you might not know is that they don't just suck blood way out in the woods. Those creepy little bugs can be anywhere, all year long. And I do mean little. They can be smaller than the head of a pin. But big trouble comes in these small, gross packages. Even a tiny tick can make you super sick. So what's the most important tip to avoid getting bit? Well, duh, pay attention. Remember, ticks can be just about anywhere outdoors. Then, spray attention with an EPA-registered insect repellent. Wearing long socks and other protective clothing is a good idea, too. When you come back inside, shower. And always remember, check for ticks everywhere. And if you do get a tick bite, don't panic. Tell an adult. And visit ticksuck.org to learn how to remove it properly. Ticks suck, but being outdoors shouldn't. Go to ticksuck.org for more information. Ticksuck.org.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Can I touch this? Where does sand come from? Is this tree good for climbing? What happens if I mix these two things together? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Storing your guns securely is the best way to prevent family fire, including unintentional shootings. For more information on safe gun storage and ways to keep your family safe, visit endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org.
What do we keep in the attic? What's this thing called? Can I ride my bike backwards?
Like I said, kids are curious. It's up to us to keep them safe. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Every day, we fight to preserve magnificent places and wildlife. We are Earth Justice, a national legal nonprofit fighting for your right to a healthy environment. Every day, we fight to advance clean energy. We are Earth Justice, 135 plus lawyers representing clients free of charge. Every day, we fight to combat climate change. We're Earth Justice, and we're here because, now more than ever, the Earth needs a good lawyer. Earth Justice uses the power of law to ensure our planet and its inhabitants have a future. No one fights more cases on the environment than Earth Justice, and we win almost every time. Systems are safer and public lands are preserved. And we win because these are fights we cannot lose. Want to join us in this fight? The time is now. Go to earthjustice.org today. That's earthjustice.org.
Mom, Dad.
Before you throw out those unused medicines, just think for a minute.
Grandma, Grandpa, all you guys take meds. That's why you gotta dispose of your old pills correctly.
Those pills for your back pain or migraines.
When you throw them in the trash, those medicines can become lethal in the wrong hands.
Our hands. You may be finished with that medicine,
but those pills are making me real popular at school.
My brother James could think they're candy. Our dog loves to get in the garbage, and those meds can make him sick or worse.
So stop. There are better ways to dispose of your unused meds.
There are lots of police stations, local pharmacies, and hospitals that are approved to take in unused meds and dispose of them safely.
Disposal sites are close by.
It's easy, and it's the right thing to do. For us. The ones you love.
To find a medicine disposal site near you, visit www.safe.pharmacy. A public service message from the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy.
Here's more from the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to the High School Coaches Show here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. I'm Justin Kenny. He is John Graham here until the top of the hour, and we're still looking outside at the chaos that is the winter weather going on. Already some school closures. Angola is closed tomorrow, and looks like Hamilton and Fremont schools are closed as well. Be early e-learning day for them. John, real quick, we have in my house, my wife teaches at Huntington Catholic School, and my son goes to St. Elizabeth's here in Fort Wayne, catty corner from Homestead. So they're two different school districts, and Huntington tends to cancel more often because of the county roads and delay, and St. Elizabeth doesn't really. So it's always interesting in the mornings when my son finds out that, yes, mom has a delay, but you do not. So get your butt up and get ready for school.
Exactly.
And I'm looking at this right now, looking outside. I can see it now. Either he will not have a delay and my wife will, or my wife won't have school and he will have school. And I can already hear him just complaining.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually if the big boys close, and that's Fort Wayne Community and Northwest, then
and Southwest,
then the cousins and
the little brothers,
the little brothers and sisters, like Concordia, and
they do, it's kind of Southwest Allen. So what Southwest Allen does something that's usually when St. Elizabeth does. Huntington's just like, okay, we're just close. We don't follow. We're our own people out here.
We're too small.
Yeah, well, they do have the entire county. That's kind of the issue. They have all the county roads out there. So already school closures coming in for tomorrow. Pay attention to wherever you get that information. Stand by for a text or whatever alert for your school. You don't have to wait till to watch the news or listen to the radio tomorrow morning like we used to when we were kids. But let's talk some basketball. And head coach of the Snider Panthers, her first year as head coach of the Snider Panthers, is Akijah Sims. She joins us right now. Coach, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
Well, we're doing well. And, as a coach now, it's a little bit different than when you were a student. But do you still get excited for delays and school closures, or are you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. I am now in the building, of course, teaching at Snider, too. And, man, it's definitely exciting when I see that 2-hour delay text message.
Right. See, you mentioned text message. You know, when we were kids, we were watching the morning news and watching the scroll.
Oh, yeah, early morning.
You know, and the anticipation would rise and rise when you got to, D, E, F, because I went to Northside, so we get closer to Fort Wayne Community, and then it would skip over and go to Garrett, and you're like, what? So, yeah, those are the days. Now we just get a text message, so it's pretty convenient, but not as exciting, I guess, or disappointing. But, Coach, congratulations on this first year for you guys, 12-7. You guys will face Northrop tomorrow night in that second sectional final game. It seemed that you guys already knocked off once earlier this year. And, we've seen the migration in girls basketball over the last 5-10 years to seeing really impact girls early on in their high school careers. And this year you have a lot of them. 4 of your top 5 scorers are freshmen. Destiny Jackson, that solid senior presence mixed in there. But, man, you have really been able to hit the ground running with some really, really good ninth graders.
Yeah, absolutely, and grateful for all of them. Not only are they all great basketball players, but they're amazing kids. And coming in as a first-year coach at the high school level, you can only be grateful for something like that. So it's always great to have kids that are great kids on the floor and then off the floor as well.
We talk about it so often on the boys' side, and just, how when a team can fall on tougher times, how quickly the talent can disperse in the city of Fort Wayne. Really difficult. So you guys weren't at the bottom of the heap of the SAC, but you definitely weren't at the top the last several years. So what was the message when you came in to convince these ninth graders to come in? Because open enrollment in Fort Wayne Community Schools, these girls can go anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. From the start, my coaching staff and we just preach hard work and effort and dedication to whatever you are doing at that time. So if you are working your hardest every single day, giving your all, then greatness is just automatically going to come your way. So that is definitely something that we preach. And, of course, basketball talk, defense, which has actually been something that we've been struggling with lately. But if we come around, I think we'll be fine. But definitely hard work, dedication, and then that defensive side of the ball has helped us out a lot.
One of your standout freshmen is Jordan Poole, and there was a lot of talk around her as an 8th grader as probably being the best player in her class in the city. And you have to thrust her into a role that a lot of girls wouldn't be ready for. Not only is she a scorer, she's your primary ball handler. She's bringing the ball up the floor. As a 9th grader, to put a lot of pressure as being, okay, you're going to be one of our primary one guards. How has she handled it, and has it kind of surprised you, or did you expect this out of her?
Jordan has done a phenomenal job of handling it, I would say. I mean, for a freshman to have to come in and be appointed to running a team is a very hard job to have. And she's done a really good job of communicating things that she needs help on, and my staff and her teammates have done a really good job as well of kind of helping her out. We have a phenomenal senior leader, 1 in Destiny Jackson and 2 in Nakai Boone, who have kind of stepped up and helped her out as well. So us being her family, we try to do a really good job of supporting her through the good and also through the bad times, because we know and expect that those things are going to happen. But Jordan's just a phenomenal kid, phenomenal player, so she just does a really good job naturally.
Coach, a lot of times we talk about the girls that play early, that make an impact, but we kind of forget about the girls that maybe bided their time and felt their role was going to be greater this year, but then a great 9th grade class comes in, and those girls can either mentally check out or quit the team, or they can stick with it. And I feel like you have some upperclassmen, some juniors that have stuck with it, and while they don't put up big numbers, they're as integral to this team as some of the girls scoring a lot of points for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Samantha and Jaden, those are my 2 seniors right now who are junior. I said seniors. I'm sorry, I meant juniors.
You're all right.
Those are my 2 juniors right now who also play a tremendous role in leadership. So Jaden Eastham, she is actually Miss Brain. So she's actually sitting at a 4.7 GPA right now, which is, oh my God, off the charts, right? She is in the runnings for valedictorian. So she's our brains on and off the court. And even though she's not in the game to start, she is a leader on that bench for us. And she really does a good job as well, helping out not only Jordan, but a lot of our wing freshman guards that we have, and just being detail-oriented with them, helping them out through all of their struggles, giving them tips on how to be successful at the varsity level. She does a really good job. And then you have Samantha, Man, she's one of the hardest workers on our team. She does an amazing job of just bringing the intensity and being the epitome of what hard work truly is. So just having them to add on to Nakai and Destiny Jackson, and then you have, of course, our younger athletes. I think the team is just they're just great.
Akijah Sims, Snider Panthers coach, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. And Coach, it's been I think a very topsy-turvy week for you. You guys played Carroll so good. You were up by 18 in the first half last Friday.
Yeah.
And you let it get away. And there's so many angles to go with this. You could take the encouragement out of it, that you guys played tremendous against a team that's got 21 wins, so won the SAC. But you let it get away. But now you're not looking ahead because you have to refocus. You have to play a Northrop team that, if you don't watch it, it's good enough to clip you with Coach Clopton there. And then, oh, by the way, if you do win tomorrow night, maybe you get another shot at Carroll on Saturday night. So, man, take us through the dichotomy and the balance that you guys have gone through mentally and on the floor over the last several days.
Yeah, well, it's always a challenge, losing. But losing to a great team is not always a loss. And we preach that to the kids. I have a phenomenal coaching staff, and one of those coaches that I have is Art Gregory. And he does a really good job of, one, keeping me balanced and rooted, and teaching our young athletes as well what to pull out of the game. So we've broken down film. We've given out scouting reports and tried to refocus, because at the end of the day, come sectional time, we're all 0-0, okay? And it's a different game when you come into that state run. So we know that, we realize that, and all we can do is just focus on the things that we need to improve on and keep chipping away at the things that we do well. So defense has definitely been a focus for us this week.
All right, Coach, before we let you go, you stand out at Snider, went to college, played overseas. You're making me feel old. I'm sure you feel a little older now that you're coaching, as a senior when you were in 2012 and was an Indiana All-Star. But has the game changed? Has girls high school basketball in Fort Wayne changed since you were a senior, or is it still pretty similar to how you remember?
I would have to say it has changed. The game when I played was a little bit more aggressive, and now I would say the game is kind of structured into a more finesse game, a more shooter's game. But I feel like the passion is still there, and these girls that I have, they're still learning and growing. But one thing that we didn't have was the trainers that they have. So that's a benefit for them, and I am blessed that they have the ability to be able to use the trainers that are out there to their benefit and to their development. So I think the game is still growing and developing.
Yeah, guys out there like Nard and David Goodwell and those guys just do a tremendous job with girls and boys in the area for sure. But okay, Coach, I appreciate the time. Thanks a lot. We'll let you get back to your evening. Hopefully you'll get that text message for tomorrow. We'll pray for you and see if you can get that text.
We're already off. We're doing parent-teacher conferences, so let's save it until Monday.
There you go. We'll see. So, hey, Coach, good luck tomorrow night, and good luck potentially with the rematch with Carroll on Saturday. We'll see what happens.
All right. I appreciate you, and thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Coach.
All righty. Have a good night.
You too. That was Coach Akijah Sims, her first year as head coach of the Snider Panthers. Of course, played for the Panthers in her prep career, went on to college, played out over in Finland, overseas, won the 2018 league championship over there in the Finnish Women's League, averaged 18 points, 9 rebounds, and was just a phenomenal person. Spent the last couple years on the staff of Purdue Fort Wayne over with the Mastodons, now in the building at Snider, coaching girls basketball, and has Snider with their first double-digit win season in the last 4 years. And with 4 of their top 5 players, leading scorers, freshmen, it's a scary-looking team going forward for sure. That's going to do it for us here on a blustery, wintry, snowy Thursday night. Thank you to John Graham for producing. Thank you to Coach Akijah Sims for joining us, and Mr. Brice Vancem, award-winning journalist at KPC Media Group as well. We'll be back here next Thursday talking more basketball. Everybody stay safe out there. Be slow, get home, and mask up. We'll catch you next Thursday. This has been the High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Thanks for for listening to this exclusive presentation of 1380 The Fan, the high school coaches show with Justin Kenny on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Download the podcast at 1380thefan.com or wherever you get podcasts.
Podcasts by Federated Media. Podcasts by Federated Media.